The biggest mistake I made in my business was not hiring a professional to help me with my money. Not just my taxes, but the actual plan I had for my business. I was completely lost on how to handle taxes, what to do with profit, and how to maintain my income. I had to find a better way. That's when I found Core Financial. Core Financial is a team of tax professionals that actually care about building real relationships with their clients. They run my books, keep me up to date with my finances, and make sure I'm taking full advantage of all of my tax benefits. Are you struggling with your finances? Look no further. Core Financial is a brand that is nationwide that can help you with your business. Both Nick and I are huge fans of Core, and they can help you too. Check out howtofilmweddings.com/core to schedule a consultation today. Core Financial, real relationships, no surprises.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Nick Miller. I am joined in the flesh and in person with my best good buddy, Mr. John Bunn. I almost said John Miller, which is my dad's name. That would have been really weird, but I didn't. I said John Bunn.
You did now?
Well, I did now.
Dude, we are here together.
We are.
We're recording a handful of episodes today.
Yes.
Because we like that. We like the in-person interaction. But we're at my house.
We are.
In my new studio.
That you just painted this cool color behind us? It looks really nice in here.
And thank you. Appreciate that. I'm not a painter. I would not say that I am. My body hurts now from painting for like a week straight. But it's getting there. I'm having a few spaces in this office / master bedroom room studio thing that I have to like do YouTube videos and all kinds of different sets and stuff for the podcast. And so we were like, we should just get all of us together, you, me, and Blake.
Blake's over there.
He needs to pop on. Blake, put your face in the screen for just a second there. Let's see what he does. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to be able to see Blake. He totally blew that.
Oh, that pop up over there.
Yeah, I can see you. Good job, Michael Scott. But we're here in the flesh. We've got the team together. We went to dinner last night. We took some photos. We did some B-roll. We're coming off the heels of our mastermind launch, which has been insane-o. Thank you to everybody.
It's been awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, so we wanted to get together and record some episodes, and we were talking. And it's like, as we're recording this, it's getting to the end of January, early February, and booking season is now.
Yeah, definitely. If you're anything like me, I've had an intake of inquiries coming in, for 21, which most of them, we're kind of booked up for, and we're not really taking many 21 weddings. We're getting lots of 22 stuff. So it's been really nice, just even if they don't book, that initial, I got an inquiry, like it's just that excitement. I've been doing this for 9 years, and I still get that excitement. I got an inquiry, love it whenever, the HoneyBook thing pops up on my phone or my watch or whatever, it's really exciting. So yeah, we wanted to spend some time, talking about turning inquiries into bookings, because there's a lot of information out there and there's a lot of different things that you can do. And so we just wanted to sit down and talk about some of the things that we're doing, that we're thinking about. And this is just what works for us. We want to make that really clear, that I know that there are people that do other things that we do, and there are people that probably preach the exact opposite thing that we do, when it comes to the inquiry process and getting clients and all that kind of stuff. But we wanted to sit down and talk about the things that work well for us, from turning those inquiries into bookings.
In the Facebook group, the How to Film Weddings group that we have, the big question we keep seeing over the last few weeks is, I'm getting ghosted. I don't know what to do to like raise my prices. I don't know how to get people to say yes. And so like this is a common thread with people. And I think that we just expect an inquiry to come in, us to send an email with our pricing, and then they book us and it's all gravy.
The biggest misconception, I think, that people, when they're starting out in this industry, and maybe it takes you 3, 4, 5 years to really figure that, is that your work does not speak for itself. It is important to have good work and to quality work, but just because your work is good does not mean people are going to hire you. And we think if my work is good and they watch my films, they will hire me. there are cases where that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said cases twice in the same sentence. You should never do that. But in a lot of instances, there is more work that needs to be done, and it takes some time to coach yourself and to train yourself so that you can get those inquiries and not just say, well, have you watched my films? Okay, I'm good at this. You need more than that.
Mm-hmm. There is a ramp that you need to like slowly take people down to get them to the point where they are ready to book you. And most people have limiting beliefs. They have hurdles in their minds. They have things that are in the way of getting them to say yes to you. And your job as the wedding filmmaker or whatever professional you are, really, if you're listening to this, is to remove those and show people why booking you is going to not only get rid of those limiting beliefs, but it's also the best decision that you can make for your wedding. And so a lot of people, I can't afford it, or I can't, or so a lot of your conversations, things we'll talk about soon, but need to be thinking about like, what are the roadblocks in the mind of the person that is inquiring with you? How can I remove those, and how can I do that quickly? And so in this episode, we're just going to chat. Like, we have some basic notes. We have a little less than we usually do, but we just wanted to have a pretty open conversation about what we do, the inquiry experience. And you've got your hand up, but go ahead.
Yes, as we're talking about I think that you're talking about limiting beliefs, and you're talking about, which really is, you have your own limiting beliefs where you don't believe that you are good enough, your self-worth, you're not confident, the imposter syndrome, all that kind of stuff. And I think that this is definitely hurdle number one that you need to deal with and reckon with. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because, if you've been doing this for 3 months and you're starting to get bookings and you're charging $5,000 and you're just brand new, okay, I can understand imposter syndrome for you because you're so fresh and you're so new. Mm-hmm. But I was having a conversation with a wedding planner and how she is booked up for all of 21. And this was in like November of 20. She was like booked up for the entire year. She was like, I'm already like halfway booked for 2022. And I'm like, you need to raise your prices. Mm-hmm. Like, you're that booked up. And she was like, oh, imposter syndrome. Like, I don't feel like I'm worth it. And I'm like, you're getting ready to walk into your 4th wedding season. Mm-hmm. Okay. You have been doing this for a few years. People are paying you. People are hiring you because they recognize that you're good at what you do. And maybe your price is just a little bit lower. And so that is just something that you have to deal with and say, okay, maybe I'm not an imposter. If you've been in business for multiple years, more than a year, you're not an imposter. Okay. You're doing it. You're running the business. And so if you are having those beliefs, well, I'm just not worth it, I'm an imposter. No, you are worth it.
So I guess that would be kind of the first thing that we would say is
definitely
you have to know that you're worth it. And you have to know also, we've said this before, but like when you're selling a wedding today, you're not selling it for today. You're selling it for the future, most likely 6 months plus from now. And what all is going to happen between here and there? You're going to listen to more podcasts. You're going to get more gear. You're going to get better experience. And so you have to plan that out and you have to be confident. And that's something as a 3 on the Enneagram, I think that I am very, my personality type is very confident and got my stuff together, even if I have no idea what I'm doing. And so that comes more naturally to me. Mm-hmm. But some people do feel like an imposter. But if you're in the wedding film industry and you're 1 or 2 years old in your business, you're further along than most wedding vendors. Most people fizzle out after a year or so, especially in video. And so, especially if you've been over 3 years, you're one of the most qualified videographers in your state if you've been doing business for 2 or 3 years. So that's kind of the first thing is what's your limiting belief about yourself? Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to get into like a lot of people's inquiry process. They don't think about that as an extension of the experience of the brand. I know you just did a lot of new stuff with your inquiry process. Why don't you talk about just kind of that?
Yeah. So like everything that you do should take your potential clients on some kind of journey, right? And we are talking from posting your video to YouTube, to Instagram, to Facebook, wherever you post it, to the look and feel of your website, the copy that you have, then into your inquiry form on your, like, all of it should blend together and all of it should fit together. One of the things that John and I are big on, and the reason that we are big on this is because we're different in our wedding film businesses than maybe people that are 2 years in. Okay. 2 years in, you're still kind of, I'm trying to figure out what my style is. I'm trying to figure out what my couple is. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. And so you want to take more. I don't know if that's the best approach, but that kind of seems to be what people would like to do is I just need to shoot more. I just need to get under. And so maybe having less questions on your contact form is a better way to go. Me being 9 years in, having a starting price of $5,000. I've started sending out for 2022 being 5,500. Hey, we're getting a friend. Come on, Boston. This is John's dog, Boston.
Hi, Boston. Sit down.
Yeah.
Good boy. Yeah, good boy.
Anyway, with me in 2022, my starting price is at 55. I know John's at 65, getting ready to maybe be like 75. I don't know where he's going with that. But when people are spending that much, we are purposefully wanting them to fill out more information so that we can weed out the people that we know that we don't want to work with.
Yeah, I think a lot of people on their inquiry form don't even think about that or what it can mean to you in your business and like the information that you can gather and learn about super quickly when it comes to the booking, And so the things to be thinking about, to be putting on your inquiry form, some of the things that we put on there, number one is we don't put what is your budget. I know a lot of people do that. We do have our starting price on our website, but we don't say what is your budget because that gives them the control of like, oh, 2,500 or 1,500. Like, I don't expect them to know that their budget is actually more for video than they realize until after they talk to me. And so if I can talk to them, I can then show them and explain to them why what I do is actually the most important thing outside of getting married and being there with your family. Like I can at least make that case, and they see way more value after talking to me. I had a couple that I talked to the other day that, my starting price is $6,500 is on my website. And they've reached out, they're getting married at a nice venue, but they were like, video is important, but we only had $3,000 or $4,000, set aside. And I was like, that's a good, healthy budget. You can find good people. And then I started walking through with them. Okay, like let's think about, the quality of audio that you want. Let's think about what video does. Let's think about, this is going to last longer than anyone in the room. This is going to be what your grandkids see. And like, just kind of painting that picture of that value and removing one of their limiting beliefs. One of the things, it's like, well, I just don't have the budget for it or whatever. And then start saying things like, the number one regret we hear from couples is that they didn't hire a videographer. And start like stacking up this case as to why what you do is not only super important, but you're the right person for that. And so by doing this with your inquiry forms and saying, what is your budget? You're telling them, hey, you tell me what video's worth. And so like other things, Nick, maybe that you could talk about that you put on your inquiry form or anything to add on that.
Yeah. So we don't do budget. For a while we put on there, a line about, where are you in the process? Are you like, oh, just kind of shopping. I'm interested in Wild Oak Films, but I want more information. I'm ready to book now. But we found out that answer, like we thought it was cool, but we found out that answer meant absolutely nothing because there were people that were just shopping around and then I'd hop on the phone with them and they would book me right away. And people that were like, I'm ready to hire Wild Oak Films right now. Then they missed our starting price on the website. They see it and they're like, okay, we're out, so we remove that. But the big things that we really want on our inquiry form are going to be your venue, planner, who is your photo person. And we don't include this one, but I know John does, and DJ or band. Especially when you get into the more, higher end ballroom, elegant kind of weddings. If they say they're having a band, that they're spending a lot more money. And so that can kind of differentiate there a little bit.
We changed that last year to just say what vendors have you booked so far?
Okay.
Because that lets them tell me, oh, we booked the French bouquet, we the florist, or whatever. And so if they tell me some of these things, it gives me more information.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, they're getting married at this country club, they hired this planner, they have this photographer, and they have this band. I know that if they know it or not, they have a $10,000 or more budget for me in that case, and so that experience side of it, though, is like your inquiry form needs to not be such a barrier to entry for people to be like, oh, I'm gonna have to spend like 2 hours filling this out. But also, like, I have a line on mine that basically says, tell us your story.
Same.
And then in parentheses, it says, we don't mind a novel. Like, some people don't put anything. Some people say, like, I got one the other day, was like, it started in 1993 whenever my fiance was born. Like, they went all down like memory lane for this whole story. And by having that information, when I called them, I was able to reference that story. So it gives me all of this on the back end of it. But like, you really want to pay attention to that part of the experience and not just randomly create an inquiry form, just like name, email, phone, wedding date. That's it. Like, you want to be able to kind of know as much as you can.
One thing that I picked up, I went to this wedding conference a couple years ago, and the speaker, one of the things that she was talking about inquiry forms is she was like talking about personalities. Okay, and how she broke it down, there were 4 major types of personalities, and there were the people. I can't remember their names, but basically there are the people that are very like matter of fact, give me the details. And these are the inquiries that we hate because it's like, I'm getting married on this date. Please give me your pricing information. It's not that they don't care about their story. It's not that we take that as a slight towards us, right? It's just because they want to know the information to figure out if they can book us or not, if they can book them or not. Then you have the other people that just like open up and have these long stories. And there's a couple other more. But what I found is I would used to like write someone off if I said, tell me your story. And they're like, we got together in high school and now we're getting married. What are your prices? Yep. And I would be like, come on, like, don't you care about this? And it's not that they don't care. It's just that their personality type is one I need, think of like an A-type accountant kind of person. Like, I just want the information. I want to know how much it's going to cost so I can plug it into my spreadsheet to see if it fits in my budget. Like that sort of information. Not that they're bad people and not that we should write them off. And so yes, as John was saying, you want to have all this correct information, but just because you said, tell me your story, if someone only writes, I'd like to know your pricing, please, that doesn't mean that they don't not want your services. It just might be their personality, and you need to figure out how to navigate around that. So John, we have lots more to talk about inquiries and the booking process, and we will get to that right after this break.
What would you take on if you had an extra set of hands? What would you do with your free time if you didn't have to edit? So many of us get bogged down in the post-production hustle that we never seem time to focus on our business. John and I both felt that way until we found Wedditor. Wedditor is a post-production team of top wedding film editors and project managers that give your films and brand the extra eyes, ears, and hands that they need. Not only is Wedditor delivering films we love to our couples faster, but we can invest ourselves fully in other areas of our business knowing that Wedditor has our back. Be the first to know how your second shooters are doing, how those new LUTs work with your footage, and relax knowing your couples are getting the full attention they deserve on every single project. So what could you do with an extra hand? Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor, whether you're ready to start now or preparing for next season. Be sure to use promo code HTFW for $50 off your first project. If you're interested in this service, make sure you head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor soon. Fall 2020 spots are lined up and filling up fast. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing.
Finding the perfect song for your wedding film can be so frustrating. We spend countless hours searching for the perfect song. When it comes to licensing music, Nick and I both love MusicBed. Not only do they have the best music, but their website makes it so easy to find the perfect song and to find it fast. We have both been using the MusicBed's wedding subscription for years and cannot recommend it enough. Not only are they adding new music from incredible musicians like Chapters, The Light, The Heat, and Tony Anderson all the time, they've made it incredibly easy to search their library for mood, genre, instrumentation, and even key. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed and use promo code HTFW for a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription. howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed.
We are back from break. We're continuing to talk about leads and getting inquiries and, all that kind of sort of stuff. And we're going to go ahead and jump into our question of the day presented by Wedditor. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing. You need to go ahead. If you're interested in using Wedditor, plug for them. If you're interested in using Wedditor, you need to reach out to them today, get them on the schedule so that you can kind of plan out your year and say, these are the weddings that I know that I would like for you guys to work with me on so that they can get you in the system. Anyway, Wedditor, they're great. We both really love them. So, John, the question I have for you, the question of the day is this. Are all leads, all inquiries, do you treat them all the same?
I like this question. First of all, shout out to Kaylin Rome, White and Reverie. Don't know if you heard of him.
Who?
Name drop. Right before we hit record, I don't know if you guys have heard of this app, Clubhouse, but we're on it. Just follow me at John Bunn. That's it.
I am Nick Miller.
But we created a room and asked people, had 15 or so, 20 filmmakers in there, asking them about inquiries to bookings is the topic of the episode. What feedback do you have? And one of the things he pointed out, which I'm really excited about Clubhouse because it's like, oh yeah, we definitely should talk about that, is the difference between different kinds of leads. And no, not all leads are the same. If your inquiry form is correct and you start getting some of this information, you will be able to determine, of course, if you're getting inquired by a bride. Now, as I've grown in my business, I get less inquiries from brides and more inquiries from planners. Also, we've said inquiries so many times. I just feel like it could be a drinking game, and it's kind of hard to say a lot of times. But anyway, when someone inquires, if it's from a wedding planner, it's different than it is if it's from, just a cold lead or if it's a referral from a previous client. Like those are, like I just booked a wedding a week ago for $6,500, just starting out, no questions asked because I had filmed the sister's wedding. That's a different kind of lead. That's a much easier lead to book.
For sure.
And I also booked a wedding this week that was also $6,500 that just came from a referral from the wedding planner. Much easier to book. I mean, those are easy to book weddings because you have that third party accountability, like the accountability, not accountability, third party. I don't know what the word I'm looking for there.
I don't know either.
I don't know. Someone will comment. But anyway, there is social proof from somebody else saying they're good. You need to book John. You need to book Nick. And that kind of lead is a way better lead than the other leads. And it's like, how do you get those kinds of leads? Are you starting to get those kinds of leads? And what have you done to kind of get those?
I'm not.
Are they still just
I'm still getting most of mine today from YouTube, where people find us on YouTube or they find us on Instagram. There's a few that we're getting, but yeah, I'm not getting a ton of planner stuff. And that could also be because we are doing so much like destination, more travel stuff. Like in 2021, we have one wedding, maybe two in Wichita. The rest are in Colorado, Kansas City, Mexico, South Carolina. Like we're going kind of all over the place. And so that could be one of the reasons why I'm not, because we don't have like a real local market for what we've been shooting. So you have way more expertise in that.
Well, I mean, even if they're coming to you from your website form, not inquiry, save
contact form.
Your contact form. Yeah, what website form? I don't know what I'm drinking. But if they're coming to you and say, "Oh my goodness, I found you on YouTube. I've been binge watched all your films. I love what you and Jen do." Like they know who you are. They've been to your website. Those are the kinds of leads that you're wanting to get. And so your website needs to point to who you are. And, your about section, we've talked about all these things point towards this inquiry. And then the next thing to talk about, Nick, is I think so many people forget like they think somebody's going to contact them and that's it. They're going to contact them, you're going to send prices and it's booking time. But usually, like I said, you've got to ramp towards this booking. You've got to show them and remove all of the limiting factors. And so there is a process and an experience that you need to give them to show them why you are the right person for the job. And naturally, I'm a salesman. Like I can sell my wife on buying a brand new this or going on this trip. Or I'm just good at stacking up all of the details as to why to do it. At the same time, presenting the why nots, but then crushing those out of the park by saying, but this is, if it was $15,000, you should do this. If it was $100,000, you should do whatever. And so there's a process to getting people to get out of their own head to book.
Yes, definitely. The thing, I like you said the word process, and you need to take them, on a journey. You need to take them from, point A is them not your client and point B is your client. So how are you going to get them, to those spots? Make it as easy for them as possible. Don't, I think it was Lindsay, whenever we were in Clubhouse, he was like, don't ever say, if you want to hop on the phone, I'd be glad to talk to you. Because most people, most of the time, that's where they're going to ghost you, because you're like putting the ball in their court. Instead, if you want them to have a phone call, say, when is a good time to talk? ? Here is a link where you can schedule a meeting with me. So it makes it very easy for them to do that, actionable steps, and you're taking them on this journey. So you have your website that looks a certain way, you have your contact form that gets the information that you have, and then how you're responding to them. How you are following up matters. Okay. Just sending an email with all the information in your pricing sheet, that might work for a certain price point, I think. Would you say?
Oh yeah,
that works for
cheaper
for a certain price point. Whenever you start charging more, I think that becomes a little bit more difficult for people to see the value in what you do, because they've already made up their mind, right? They've already decided, this is what I'm going to spend. This is what it is, either too expensive or not too expensive, or, whatever. And so make it easy for them to see those things so that they can make that decision. And so just sending that. Now, I actually read on this, Elaine from KEJ, she said she is one, so like, if it's not through a planner, I send my couples our full pricing sheet, initial email after they inquire with us, because I got married just a few years ago and it drove me crazy that whenever I was looking for prices and I was looking for vendors, I had to jump through all of these hoops just to find out if I could afford you or not. And it wasted my time. And he's like, I don't want that experience for my brides. I think that that's fine. And again, like we're saying, there's different ways to go about this. It's just for where I am in my business, where John is in his business, we have decided not to share the pricing sheet with them right up front in that initial inquiry. But one thing that we are both doing, we get an inquiry. We're both responding to that as soon as we can. Not within 24 hours. 24 hours is too long. As soon as we can, writing an email, texting them. We ask them for their phone number. We just text them really quick, that sort of thing, so that they can, we can get in contact with them. If they're texting me, or if they get an inquiry, at like 8:00, kind of later in the evening, where it's not too late, I might just send them a text and say, hey, got your inquiry. I am available. I'll get you more information in the morning, and just kind of touch base with them. And they really appreciate that, even though you're not giving them any information, because, and it's all about that. I want to serve my clients really well. I feel like I'm just talking and rambling, and I have been for a long time.
I drifted a couple times and I came back. No, I'm just kidding.
Boston fell asleep.
Boston that's what he wants in his life. Is to be as close to me as possible, and then he can sleep and relax. A couple things you said, and I really want to reiterate. A lot of people, like, I think about this with even hanging out with my friends. A lot of times, like, we should get together sometime. When do you actually get together if you don't say, well, what about Tuesday at 4? Or what about next Wednesday for lunch? Yeah. And sometimes you have to, like, a friend of mine and I reconnected in the last couple of weeks from church. I bumped into him and he was like, we should go to lunch. And I was like, sure. And I sent him a text later that day. I was like, hey, we should actually go to lunch. And he was like, yes, we should. What does next week look like? And I was like, I could do Wednesday. And he didn't respond. And like a few days later, I was like, does Wednesday work? He's like, oh my goodness, this was unread. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's do Wednesday. And now we're getting connected. We're going to go to lunch next week. It's the same kind of thing for your inquiries when they come in, and reaching out to them, and not, not leaving them an open-ended question, but walking them through that journey. So I really wanted to reiterate that that's really important, and never just leaving it to where it's like, well, unless you want to. Like I had a lead the other day where I was just like, I'm not going to bug you anymore. If you want, this is my number. Like, I know how annoying it can get to get, so many calls, but you have my pricing. I would love to work with you. Like, I left it in their court when I was ready to leave it in their court. But most of the time, I'm like what you're saying, sending a text. Does tomorrow, like, what times tomorrow work? Does this time or this time work better? And it's asking them this question. And then they're like, I could do 2. And it's like, okay, I've got it on my calendar. And then earlier in the day, I'm like, hey, you still good for an hour from now? I'm so excited. And then I can walk them through that journey of then sending my pricing sheet or whatever your plan is. But so many people don't realize that from the time somebody inquires with you until their anniversary, you're serving them. You're walking them through a process. And most of the people are still going to say no. After you do all this stuff, I get messages all the time of people being like, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing it right. I've updated my brand. I've done all these things. And I'm still like, people are still just not booking. What am I doing wrong? Same thing happens to me. I'm not some kind of genius.
I think that we, in this industry, whenever we get going, the booking rates kind of skew us, because most people, right, they start out at $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, and to get going. And so they do that, they get overbooked, and their booking rate is 60%, 70%. And it has a lot to do with just the price point.
Sure.
Okay. And so whenever you start raising your prices, you're not used to people telling you no, because everyone told you yes.
I take it personally.
Yeah, you do take it personally. And so, like, do you guys know that a 10% close rate is really, really good? Okay. So that's 10 people out of 100.
Last year I booked 14 weddings out of, it had to be close to 200 inquiries.
Yeah, I know we were well over 150 inquiries for 2020 weddings, and I know it was COVID, but we shot 13 last year.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, it's
a little bit of luck mixed in with all. I mean, but if you're value stacking everything that you provide, you're making it where you don't let them. You don't let them have the ball in their court. You're walking them through a process. You're following up, like all these things. It's going to help you close more deals. And the next thing I'd want to kind of shift to talk about is the follow up. They've got an inquiry. You've done, maybe a consultation with them. I just booked a wedding last night, and the process looked. They filled out my form. I sent them a text, said, what about tomorrow? Can you talk this time or this time? Does that work? She got back with a time. I did a phone call. I value stacked all of the things that why, my heart, I laid it out there for them, why I do what I do, how I love this, why I love this. The consultation guide, I just walked right through it basically from the consultation guide. But then I left it in her, court in the way that I said, here's what I'm going to, I didn't leave it in her court. Sorry. Where I said, the price is $6,500 to start. This is what it includes. Here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to go ahead and send you the contract and the proposal. And if you sign it, the day is yours. And like, just walked her through these. Okay, cool. And she was like, is it all due at the beginning? And I was like, no, I actually will break it up into a bunch of payments for you, so it's not so overwhelming. And like, I'm just knocking down those limiting, those beliefs, those things that are in the way, those barriers. And I had the call with her. After the call happened, I sent her a text and said, hey, I sent you the contract. Can you make sure you got it for me real quick? And it was an easy question. And she said, oh, yep, I got it. And Honeybook notified me. She looked at it. And then I set a reminder for the next day to shoot her a message and check in and tell her how much I wanted to work with her and how excited. So I sent her a text 2 days ago and said, I'm so excited. Like, I really enjoyed our conversation. we have to work together. Haha. Like, you know, just personality. And last night while we were at dinner, she messaged and said, hey, if we just sign the contract and can we pay on Saturday, but we're good if we can just sign tonight and we'll pay on. And I was like, yeah, that's great. And what happened? I got a $6,500 booking, and then that's going to lead into upcharges and things if there are things to sell that she needs moving forward. So it's probably going to be an $8,000 or $9,000 booking by doing that.
I really, one thing that I really like about your approach is that you are, just making it so easy for them. You know, I have got, you know, I have my wedding day, or my pricing packet sheet, PDF, whatever it is.
Pricing guide?
There you go. It looks really nice and it's awesome. But the thing that I've still been doing is like, hey, here's this brochure from Honeybook, and I have it, you know, stripped bare bones where it's just like, here's the things that you can pick, and then let me know. I think maybe that's a step I take is, hey, I'm going to send you over an agreement with just our base package on it, and then you can look over it and then let me know, you know, if there's anything you want to add, you know, I can change it or whatever. But, you know, just to get that going so that they don't have to contact me and be like, yes, I want this one. And then, you know, it's all easy through Honeybook because it's just, you know, a few clicks, but I'm just removing a step. One thing that has helped us, and I know that so many of you feel this, is, you know, responding, getting an email, and people just don't get back to you at all. You know, the ghosting thing is super real. And one thing that I have found that has gotten people to at least respond to me more and tell me no thanks is after our correspondence. You know, if I talk to them on the phone, I follow up 24 hours, I think 72 hours, and then 5 days or something like that. So 1, 3, and 5 days, basically, I follow up with them. And then in the day 5 email, I put, if you have decided to go in another direction, we totally understand. Can you let me know so that I can update my books or update, you know, whatever. And because I give them an out, like most of the time, if I'm sending them email 3, I know that like they've gone another way. Like I know that, but just by me giving them that out, saying, hey, no pressure, totally, I just want to make sure that we're, you know, we have the right information. I'm actually, it's smaller number, maybe probably a quarter of people, 25% are writing back, say, sorry, we've decided to go in another direction. I mean, that's fine. I already knew that, but it gives me a little bit of closure, I guess, to know, okay, this one is not, you know, going to happen. And so just having that on there has really, really helped that with us and our psychology of, you know, doing all the sales process and everything.
One of the things you just said that stood out to me, and I'm realizing it just in my nature, I think so, is like when taking away the barriers, the roadblocks, when I send them a proposal, I'd never send a template. I always build it based on what we just talked about. And I always like put everything together. I mean, I have my standard package, you know, the 2 shooters for 8 hours, the feature film, whatever. But if we talked about raw footage or we talked about whatever, like I already bake that in there, and I might build something and then put a certain, not discount, but like, hey, I'm going to give you the John Bunn loves you rate and take $100 off and show that like, or like that kind of thing. But it made me think, like, I do build that custom for them and give them that easy experience where they have it right there. And one thing I did whenever I was really getting going is a little bit of urgency can go a long way if you do it the right way. But it's a fine line. If you say, hey, the price for this is $6,500, but if you book before Friday, I'll do it for, you know, $5,900. I'll give you $600 off or whatever. Like there are strategies like that can also work to go from an inquiry to getting that booking, knowing you can upcharge them for other things later. And so you have to decide as a wedding filmmaker, like your tactics, your things. You know, Nick sends an email 1, 3, and 5 days. With my clients, because I've just really pulled back on like, I don't need the booking. I don't need the booking. If they want to book me, like that's my approach. Yeah. And so I send them the proposal, and then I tell them at that point, it's like, I'll follow up in a day, maybe 2 days. And if I really like them, I might follow up one more time, but I don't, at that point, they've got my prices. They've heard my heart, but the follow up is so very important to a lot of people, because if you think about it, these brides, they might have contacted like 6 other companies.
Oh,
And
sure.
so sometimes just by saying, hey, just a reminder, I'm awesome. You're awesome. Let's do this thing. You can get a lot of bookings from people that way too.
Mm-hmm. I think the statistic is that on average, each couple, each bride is reaching out to 3 of the same vendor. So that'd be 3 planners, 3 photographers, 3 videographers, 3 florists, 3, on average.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing for something like photo and video, it, depending on your area, those numbers might be even more. So just something to keep in mind. John, we have chatted.
We've got our chat on. It's
A
been
lot
good.
about the inquiry stuff, but hopefully you will find this very helpful to you, and help you in this process so that you can close more bookings.
One thing before we jet off into Neverland, I don't know. I'm a dork. Like the confidence side of things, knowing your personality, knowing what, like, again, I always goof about the Enneagram, but knowing how you respond to people, knowing how people respond to you, like it hurts whenever you really want a booking and they never get back with you. And it's a confidence killer. It's a lot of times it's like, nobody's booking. I'd book something. I'm the best in the world. And like, you just need to know yourself enough to know that like 10% is a huge win. Like that,
Yes.
If you're booking more than that, actually something's probably wrong. And so just being okay with knowing that it's a net game, you're going to have a lot of different inquiries. The majority of them aren't going to book you, but the 10 to 20 to 30, whatever your number is that do, are going to be worth it for all of the other conversations you have. And you never know who that's going to be. So you have to treat every client, you just never know. You have to treat every time that you get an inquiry like they're going to book you and walk them through this experience. And like what I've seen in my city, the majority of times that people can't book me, it's only the budget. They love my films. They can't book me because they just don't have the money. I will handhold them to connect with another wedding videographer, another planner, and just put that good mojo out into the universe with them. And I cannot tell you, after doing this for 14 years, how many dozens of times people have come to me and said, my cousin told me about you. She actually couldn't afford you, but she said, if you're going to book somebody, book John. And my dad can afford to help me pay for or whatever.
Right.
And that goes a long way, just treating people really well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Treat people well, serve them through the entire process, from whenever they see your work to, going through the booking. Think about what would make the process the easiest. Think about what are the roadblocks. If you're getting inquiries, and what's the point where everything seems to fall apart? Look at that and figure out why that is. Whenever we had Patrick Moreau on, a few episodes ago, that was one of the things that he talked about, is the language, the words that you use in your email back to someone matter. Your email signature matter. Like, all of this stuff is really important. So you need to look at the process and say, okay, where are people falling out, and what is something that I can do to change that so that it can be a better experience for my clients, but then so that I can actually get more of those bookings. One thing that we have at howtofilmweddings.com/shop, John, is our consultation guide.
Yeah,
it is our step-by-step process of what we recommend. It's kind of an outline of how we handle our consultations, and how, since I have taken this approach, it was John's thing and I stole it from him, and we've kind of tweaked it together. Like, my booking rates have gone way up and my prices have gone way up. And I think that doing consultations this way is a big reason for that. So if you would like to check that out, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/store. How to Film
You
Weddings.
said shop earlier.
It is. I did say shop, but we changed it. It's store. howtofilmweddings.com/store. You head over there. You can get that consultation guide. Man, stumbling over words. It's cool.
It's all right.
It's all right. John, it has been great to hang out with you in your house.
And Boston.
Hanging out here on the couch. You have to watch on YouTube or Facebook video to see Boston. He's a cool little dog. And until next time, we will see you.
See you guys. Have a great week. Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films to your couples? Look no further. Our friends over at WedFlow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. WedFlow is pay per project with no large upfront cost or commitment, and you can cancel anytime. Not only that, WedFlow offers a premium viewing experience for your couples, accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years hosting and an experience for your clients that will blow them away. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way and give your couples something to rave about. Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/WedFlow to check out WedFlow today.